Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new video about that movie trilogy where ex-Baskin-Robbins employees can help save the world, Ant-Man. Warning, beyond this point there are serious spoilers for people who are not up to date in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comic books, and even for those of you who are, as some of these spoilers are from a movie that hasn't even come out yet and won't be released for months. In this video we're going to give you our binge breakdown of the brand new trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA, which is full of all kinds of surprises, and Bill Murray. We're also going to go over a huge leak of literally the entire plot of the movie, and there are all kinds of crazy quantum characters as well as a whole bunch of tiny to giant fighting. But before we get into any of these insane spoilers, we're going to take a look at this trailer.
Binge.
The trailer opens up with a wide shot of San Francisco, not much info here. Following that, we get a moment of Scott Lang taking a walk and being recognized, and he seems to love the attention. During that shot, we hear Scott asking himself how an ex-con became an Avenger. Maybe it's because he doesn't age. Is that his real superpower? After that, we get a shot of Baskin-Robbins of Lang getting his photo taken with the manager that canned him in the first movie as he receives applause from all the workers for getting named Employee of the Century. Look at how enthused he is in this photo. You can see the excitement from a mile away. Following that shot, we see Ant-Man giving a high five to a kid with an Ant-Man backpack. We really don't know who enjoyed this interaction more. After that, we get a sequence of Hope getting out of a car all dressed up for some sort of event as Scott's waiting to take her hand, then a shot of them walking together down a red carpet with paparazzi swarming the joint. Following those shots, we get a humbling moment for Scott as he's leaving a coffee shop and the owner tells him,
Thank you, Spider-Man!
if only Stan Lee was around to deliver that line. R.I.P. the OG.
Oh, gee, I've got so many more stories to tell.
After that, we get a quick shot of the Pym house before cutting to the lab with Scott, Hank, Janet, and Cassie, who we hear overlaying dialogue from telling her dad that people still need help, and that's why they built this device that she's holding, which Cassie refers to as the quantum satellite. In the next shot, we see Cassie push down a switch and the satellite starts emitting light, but it doesn't seem alarming, yet. Following that, we get a shot of Scott and Hank looking impressed with baby Lang before the trailer cuts to a worried Janet asking if she's sending a signal to the quantum realm. Next up, some sort of quantum wormhole is rising in the air as we see concerning shots from Hank and Hope. Right after that, we cut to Janet very forcefully raising her voice at Minnie Lang and tells her to turn it off now. Following that moment, we see Cassie and Scott looking down, probably at the satellite, and they look worried. The trailer then cuts to a shot of the quantum energy ball busting open, knocking everyone back into the walls, which aren't looking in too good of shape either. The orb does a violent 180 and starts trying to suck everyone in. After losing the desk, Hank, Janet, and presumably Hope, Scott was hanging on for dear life to Cassie before she was sucked in as well, so Scott jumps in after her before cutting to the Marvel Studios graphic we've come to know very well. Following the graphic, we see Lang 1 and Lang 2 looking around the quantum realm. We have to say, this does kind of give us deja vu of the Upside Down. In the next shot, Cassie is asking her pops where they are very worryingly. Following that, we get a wide scenic shot of the quantum realm in all of its glory before cutting to some of its inhabitants. We're not too sure who the characters in the middle and to the left are, but we do think the hooded being to the right could be Acro-Year. Acro-Year in the comics was from a place called Spartak, which was a rocky planet within the Microverse. And the Microverse in the MCU is called, you guessed it, the Quantum Realm. So with this information, we believe that the Langs are currently in Spartak, but are unsure of where Hank, Hope, and Janet are. After that shot, we see Scott and Cassie being kind of surrounded by the inhabitants of this quantum planet, and they don't necessarily look ready for a big fight right now. In the next shot, the trailer cuts to Hope seeming to be just waking up. After that, we get a quick shot of Hope, Hank, and their tour guide Janet walking in the quantum realm before we cut to a close-up of Janet as she says there's a secret universe below ours. Again, upside down deja vu. Following that moment, we get a wide shot of the quantum realm where what appears to be a ship shoots across the top of the screen. We're gonna get into who this cloak person is later during the spoilers. Also, are those quantum animals? After that, we get a really cool shot of the Pym family riding some sort of quantum stingray flying through the realm. In the next shot, we see Hope and she's asking someone what they are so afraid of, which we presume to be Janet. The trailer then cuts to a quick moment of the Pym family trying to keep a low profile before cutting back to that same scene where Janet tells Hope there's something she never told her, as she looks at the floor not feeling proud of herself. Spoiler alert, this could be Bill Murray related, or not. Following that, we get a shot of Kang the Conqueror putting a crystal orb type thing into a case. We think there's a chance that this is the Forever Crystal, which is a device that Immortus, another Kang variant, could use to change history at will. After that, the trailer cuts to a place we aren't exactly too familiar with. Could this be a futuristic Chronopolis? Chronopolis was a city Kang created that contained access points to all of the time eras Kang had conquered or was in the process of conquering. It looked a little different in the comics, but who knows, the MCU doesn't always stick directly to the source material. After another shot of this city, we cut to a shot of an army. We believe these are the Pythians. The Pythians are a race of people whose sole purpose is to serve Kang, and they even consider dying for him in honor. We hope they have the combat skills of a stormtrooper or else the Avengers will be in trouble. As the last few shots of this city have rolled, we hear who we believe to be Kang speaking cryptically.
This place. It isn't what you think.
Following that sequence, we get a shot of Scott turning around and looking at something or somebody. Papa Lang doesn't exactly look confident in how things are going. After that moment, we see Kang on a platform with a bunch of rings surrounding him. Do these rings have any link to the ones in Shang-Chi? We're not sure. But now we're even more sure that mysterious orb crystal Kang was putting in that case earlier was the Forever Crystal because we see it on the right side of the screen seeming to be powering this platform. Next up, we get a title card saying this February, which can't come sooner, especially since there are major spoilers. The trailer then gives us a shot of a ship flying into a bunch of rings with a red light in the air. We're not sure where this is, but we don't think it can be good. Following that, we get a sequence of a character in a cloak who we believe to be Janet opening something that looks like a vault. What could be in there? Paul Rudd's Fountain of Youth? After that, we see Hope and Janet at what looks to be a quantum bar with the most handsome bartender. The next shot in this sequence shows a being that looks like he's barely keeping it together, literally. Is he unraveling? After that, we get a shot of Bill Murray, who is playing a character named Krylar. Krylar was only in one Incredible Hulk comic and died in the same issue he was introduced. In Krylar's only appearance, the Hulk went to the microplanet Kai to visit this green princess, Jarella, who the Hulk was head over heels for at the time. Krylar's boss, Visus, kidnapped the Hulk's woman, and while he's carrying out his plan, Visus suspects Krylar will double-cross him, so Krylar gets a blade to the belly for his trouble. Nice retirement plan. Although Krylar is a minor character, Bill Murray's introduction to the MCU could be more significant than we think. First, Krylar was a scientist who created a machine that can generate a physical embodiment of any opponent's worst fears. Think of those possibilities. There's also a chance that the Hulk's son might get a slightly different origin story and end up being Banner's kid by this woman Jarella from the microplanet. Could we see SKAAR somewhere in QUANTUMANIA? We don't think so, but it's possible there might be a reference or Easter egg to the Hulk's boy. The trailer then cuts to a bunch of Kang ships that were shown earlier with what we believe to be the Pythians now surrounding a mega-size Ant-Man. They seem pretty small in size to him. Can't he just wave his arm and knock out a few? Following that, we get a quick moment of Scott and Hope suited up with ships in the background. Could this be from the same sequence as the last shot? The trailer then shows us Janet standing on something looking down at some sort of spider-like creature in a darker place than we've seen in the rest of the promo. Right after that, we see the spider-like creature has the torso and head of a Demogorgon. Maybe the comics isn't the only thing this movie has taken inspiration from. After that, we get a shot of Hope and a pretty beaten up Scott with what looks like to be rips in a force field, or it could be tears in reality or time. We then see a moment of Janet holding onto Hank very tightly and they both look kind of defeated. Did a big battle just go down and they saw their little girl take a beating? Don't bring out Hank's angry side. You wouldn't like him when he's... never mind. Following that shot, we get a sequence of a bunch of Ant-Mans running, and one of them seems to start liquefying and turning into nothing. Could this be other Ant-Mans from different universes being wiped from existence? We'll get into that later. In the next moment, we see the father-daughter Lang duo running away from an explosion before cutting to a very sinister shot of Kang, otherwise known as Nathaniel Richards, on a platform with some sort of energy in his hands. In the comics, Nathaniel is actually a descendant of Reed Richards, who is Mr. Fantastic, and his arch-nemesis Dr. Doom. Maybe that's why Kang has so many variants. He doesn't remember if he's a good guy or a bad guy. After that, we see Scott, Cassie, and Hope, who are looking pretty concerned at what's in front of them. We think this could be when they see Kang's army from the background, but it's tough to say for sure. As the last few shots have been running their course, we've heard overlaying dialogue from Kang to Scott saying, "I can get you home and give you more time if you help me." This dialogue leads us to the final scene of the trailer where Kang asks Scott,
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Following that moment, we get a final title card for the movie and the release date of February 17th, 2023. Is this going to be as crazy as it looks, or is the MCU in a Phase 4 slump? Drop a comment down below and let us know. Now, let's get into a major plot leak for literally the entire movie. The source for these spoilers is Marvel Studios Spoilers on Reddit, who's approaching 1 million members. The moderators for this page have been tracking dozens and dozens of spoilers while checking for accuracy for some time now. They have a verification process to get proof that the spoilers are legit, so we are almost certain these are for real. Also realize that we are about 4 months from release, so things can be changed in the editing process, but it seems that at least some of these details will end up coming to pass. Part of these leaks go over things we saw in the trailer, so we will leave those out. The leaks were released very shortly after the trailer, but it seems far-fetched to believe all these leaks were created in a very short amount of time, although anything is possible. We will also be leaving out some of the more minor details to leave some surprises for you in the theater, if you choose to watch all these juicy leaks. Before we get into the reason you came here, we want to note that the leaker said the movie's runtime is currently around 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is a pretty good length for an Ant-Man movie. This is it, people. Now is your last chance to leave, because it's
spoiler time.
The first part of the plot leak is that Janet will be running from Quantum Realm Xenomorphs when she meets Kang. By Xenomorphs, we're guessing they're talking about those Demogorgon alien-looking things we saw in the trailer earlier. After that, the source tells us there's a montage of Scott narrating his life via an excerpt from his book, Looking Out for the Little Guy. Scott also talks about how happy he was to meet a raccoon that could talk and says he's friends with the Hulk. While talking about future adventures, Scott says that for the moment he's just focused on being a dad. Scott and Cassie reconnecting is a big part of the movie. Bonding over life-threatening experiences and Baskin-Robbins can't get any sweeter than that. Like we went over earlier, the leaker tells us Scott, Cassie, and Hope, Hank, and Janet are separated into two groups after getting sucked into the quantum realm by Cassie's device. A more interesting spoiler is Bill Murray's Krylar is a quantum realm aristocrat who's hinted to have had a fling with Janet while she was stuck there. Poor Hank. William Jackson Harper is also in the movie, and he plays a mind-reading leader of the quantum people. After being told that some buildings appear to be alive in the quantum realm, we get a much bigger spoiler that MODOK is a big Corey Stoll head and is voiced by Corey Stoll. There's been rumors going around that MODOK would be Yellow Jacket or Darren Cross from the original Ant-Man movie who was sent to the quantum realm. After that bombshell, the source tells us we get to know Kang's backstory. Janet and Kang were both trapped in the quantum realm together in the past, and Kang has a ship that can travel the multiverse. We believe the person in that shot during the trailer of the ship in the sky was Janet. The next spoilers are that Janet and Kang were fixing his ship, and he wanted to help her fix time so she could get her time back with Hope. However, Janet later discovered this really powerful, seemingly benevolent dude was all evil. She figured this out through a neural connection he has with the ship and confronted him. Kang confirmed his nature pretty straight up of the guy, but Janet was big mad and she destroyed the equipment that made his ship work, which trapped both of them deeper in the quantum realm. Kang has apparently been the conqueror looking for his sweet revenge against Janet ever since. The next few leaked details are during interactions between Kang and Scott. Kang tells Lang he has beaten the Avengers several times. Will we get any cool shots of AU heroes banding together like in Doctor Strange 2? It didn't go well then either. Kang also asks him if he's the one with the hammer, and Scott makes a joke about people confusing him with Thor all the time. He wants Scott to help him get out of the quantum realm and says that they should work together. Kang claims to be the only one who can stop what's coming. When Scott asks what that is, Kang simply says, me. The next part of the plot leak includes Scott getting into the Quantum Nexus, where he meets several different versions of himself, one of them being a Scott who's just a Baskin-Robbins employee in his universe and doesn't understand what's going on. We so can't wait to meet that Scott. The leaks go on to say that Prime Scott works with his multiversal selves against MODOK. There's a running joke about everyone calling MODOK Darren and him hating it. After those spoilers, we get a more sweet one that says Scott has an emotional moment with Cassie, saying he messed up a lot in his life, but she was the only thing he never did. He promises Cassie he'll get her home. Scott's really getting into Clint Tony level of parenting.
I love you 3,000.
The next few leaked details start by saying Janet calls Kang by his name, Nathan. Could that Nathan meet this Nathan, who was once Thanos? Kang tells Janet that she gave him a lot of time to plot his revenge by leaving him stranded in the quantum realm. He tells her that when he leaves, the first universe he'll claim will be hers. Kang reveals he's built an empire and says he'll take it with him to conquer all the universes. Come on, Janet, we're just starting to recover from the snap. The next few spoilers are about the cosmetics. Scott gets an all-black suit, Hope has lightsaber wings, and both black suits have red and yellow accents, respectively. This set of leaked details we're about to go over are the most crucial yet. The final battle is huge, and we see Giant Cassie fighting MODOK. She tries to talk him into switching sides. Giant Scott and Giant Cassie run to each other for a hug. He jokes about it feeling like he's hugging Godzilla. That's so specific. If the leaker made this up, he's really manipulating us on some next level MODOK big brain stuff. As far as the big battle, we find out that Kang has a standoff with Scott, Hope, and Cassie. Hank flies in with a legion of battle-armored ants and they attack Kang. He manages to hold them off with his powers. MODOK also shows up to help. Kang fatally injures MODOK and the family goes to MODOK's side as he dies. He rubs his tiny hand on Scott's cheek. How sweet. The tiny hand part seems made up, not gonna lie, but we'll roll with it. Apparently, MODOK's death is an emotional moment where the killing machine says Cassie was right about him and that he at least died an Avenger. Scott says he did a good job and agrees. The next leak tells us that Kang survived the fight and stopped Scott just as they are all going back to their universe. Janet, Hank, Cassie, and Hope escape. Kang beats the shit out of Scott. Hope comes back for him. Maybe this is from the scene in the trailer where we see Scott looking in pretty bad shape. The source then tells us they almost managed to trap Kang in the quantum realm, but he escapes and traps Scott and Hope inside. Right after they get trapped, Scott and Hope hug and he asks her why she came back. She tells him that it was because she saw all the other versions of herself too, the other lives she could have had. She didn't want to be in any of them that didn't have him. At the end of the movie, Hope and Scott look out at the quantum realm. Hope says to Scott that their family will be okay and they have to trust them to find the ill-fated couple. She says Cassie will know what to do. The next scene's sometime later. Cassie's running all kinds of programs on different computers. She's staring at the screen, sees something. Her eyes go wide and she gasps. Cut to black. What could she have seen? Is it a way to get out Hope and Scott, or is it the start of a sinister takeover from Kang? What do you think? Will we have any other end credit shenanigans like with Black Panther 2? When will we get Dr. Doom? And where the f is Deadpool when you need him? Thanks so much for watching our videos, everyone. As always, we're on the lookout for any new promo videos or leaked spoilers to help prove or disprove all the rumors out there about our favorite universe where science can become interesting to anyone as long as you add the word quantum, the MCU. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Binge Rampage. Click that notifications bell for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out, and don't forget to subscribe.
What are you so afraid of?
Me.
And just who are you?
Oh, I've been dubbed many names by many people. A ruler, a conqueror, he who remains, a jerk.